Kathleen and Bob stood quietly at the front door after ringing the bell. Inside the house, Aaron heard them, but Noah had finally fallen asleep nearby. Aaron did not want the loud motor of his power wheelchair to wake the baby. "Rick," Aaron said softly, "can you let my parents in? I'm not trying to wake Noah with the noise from my chair." Bob opened the door before Rick could reach it. "I got it." Bob stepped inside, followed by Kathleen. They both kept their voices low. Kathleen looked around until she saw Aaron sitting near the sleeping baby. "There's my son," she whispered. "Hey, Mom." Kathleen walked over and hugged Aaron carefully, making sure not to bump his chair. Bob closed the door behind him and looked toward Noah. "So that's our grandson." Aaron smiled faintly. "Yeah, that's Noah." Kathleen moved closer to look at the baby. "He's beautiful." Aaron's smile disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. "I'm stressed out," he admitted. "I'm trying to find a nanny for him and I'm trying to get full custody." Bob frowned. "Why not let Linda take him for a while so you can handle everything?" Aaron's expression immediately hardened. "Because she got her lawyer to leave my kid outside in 19-degree weather," Aaron said. "In my eyes, she shouldn't have custody unless someone is there watching her." The room went quiet. Before the situation had reached this point, Linda had questioned Aaron about the child support arrangement. "You still pay child support," she had told him. "Yes," Aaron had answered. "The full amount is already in a trust. She can't touch it and neither can I." He had paid everything required in advance, but Noah was now living with him. "I'm trying to change it into a college fund," Aaron explained to his parents. "The money can grow over time and Noah can use it when he gets older. I don't want the money back, I just don't want Linda receiving child support for a child who lives with me." Kathleen placed a hand on his shoulder. "That makes sense, you're protecting his future." "Exactly." Rick walked into the room while checking Aaron's schedule. "Aaron, you made a mistake." Aaron looked at him. "What?" "You booked the nanny interviews at the same time you're supposed to talk with Herson." Aaron stared at the calendar. "Fuck," he muttered. "Fuck me, how did I do that?" His breathing became faster. Bob stepped closer. "Calm down, your mom and I will help." Aaron looked at him. "How?" "Kathleen can help with the nanny interviews," Bob explained. "I can watch Noah while you speak with Herson." Kathleen nodded. "I'll write down everything each applicant says. You can still make the final decision." "I wanted to interview them myself." "You still can," Kathleen said. "We'll help organize everything." Rick picked up Aaron's phone. "I'll contact Herson's office and see whether the meeting can be moved." Aaron looked down at Noah. "I'm already messing things up, I haven't even had him that long." Bob placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is a scheduling mistake, it isn't a parenting failure." Aaron took a breath, but before he could answer, Scott entered the room holding his phone. "Aaron, I found a pediatrician for Noah." Aaron's eyes widened. "Please tell me you didn't book anything for today." Scott shook his head. "No, the appointment is next week." Aaron leaned back in his wheelchair and released a long breath. "Thank God." Rick laughed quietly. "You've had enough scheduling problems for one day. You have no idea." Scott sat beside him. "The pediatrician has good reviews, accepts Noah's insurance, and has experience with children involved in complicated custody situations." Aaron looked surprised. "You checked all of that?" "Yeah, I didn't want to bring you another problem, I wanted to solve one." "Thank you." Bob looked toward Noah. "You have a pediatrician, you're interviewing nannies, and your lawyer is working on custody. You're making progress." "It doesn't feel like progress," Aaron admitted. "It feels like I'm running around putting out fires." Kathleen squeezed his shoulder. "Sometimes that's what progress looks like." Noah began to stir. Aaron immediately turned toward him. "I think he's waking up." Scott stood. "Do you want me to get him?" Aaron shook his head and moved his wheelchair closer. "No, I've got him." With some help positioning the baby safely, Aaron held Noah against his chest. "I'm right here, little man," he whispered. "Dad got you." Suddenly, a loud voice came from outside. "My crippled ex kidnapped my child." Aaron's face went pale. Linda was standing in the front yard, screaming toward the house. "Someone grab Noah," Aaron said quickly. Kathleen carefully took the baby and carried him farther inside while Bob locked the front door. Frank pulled out his phone. "I'm calling 911. "Call Herson straight after," Aaron said. "My lawyer needs to know she's here." Frank contacted emergency services. "My friend's ex-wife is outside screaming and making false kidnapping accusations," he told the dispatcher. "There's an active custody dispute and a 6-month-old baby is inside." Linda began pounding on the door. "Give me my son." Aaron moved closer to the window but stayed out of sight. "She left him outside in freezing weather, and now she wants to act like I'm dangerous." Rick moved in front of Aaron. "Don't go outside, let the police handle it." Frank finished the emergency call and immediately called Herson. "Herson, Linda is outside Aaron's house claiming he kidnapped Noah. The police are coming." "Do not open the door," Herson answered. "Record everything she says, keep Noah away from the windows." Frank placed the call on speaker. Aaron looked toward the hallway where his mother was holding Noah. "What if the police believe her?" "They should review the custody paperwork first," Herson said. "I'm sending the documents to your phone and email. Tell the officers they can contact me directly." Sirens approached. Linda ran toward the police car as the officers stepped out. "He stole my baby." One officer stayed with Linda while the other came to the door. Bob waited until the officer identified himself before opening it. "Is Aaron here?" Aaron rolled forward slowly. "I'm Aaron, Noah's father." "Linda says you kidnapped the child." "No," Aaron replied. "Noah was placed with me after she allowed her lawyer to leave him outside in 19-degree weather. My lawyer has the paperwork." Frank held up the phone. "Herson is on the line." The officer spoke with Herson and reviewed the documents. After several minutes, he handed the phone back. "Mr. Herson confirmed the emergency custody arrangement. Noah will remain here while the court reviews the case." Aaron let out the breath he had been holding. Outside, Linda began shouting again. "This isn't over." The second officer ordered her to step away from the property. Aaron looked toward Noah. "No, it isn't over, but she isn't taking him tonight." When the police left, Aaron turned toward the phone. "Herson, file a motion for full custody and a fucking restraining order now. I have enough evidence." "I'm working on both," Herson replied. "Save the recordings, messages, and police report." Aaron glanced at the time. "I have to interview nannies in 2 hours. I need to be changed. I don't have time for this shit." Rick moved closer. "Scott and I will help you get ready." "I can change him," Bob offered. Aaron shook his head. "No offense, Dad, but Rick and Scott know my routine." "None taken, your mom and I will watch Noah." Kathleen nodded. "He's safe with us, go get ready." Aaron looked toward the door. "What if Linda comes back?" "The doors are locked, the cameras are recording, and Frank is staying downstairs," Rick said. Herson spoke through the phone. "Do not contact Linda, do not answer her calls or messages, let everything go through me." "Fine, just get the restraining order filed." Rick followed Aaron toward the bedroom while Scott carried the supplies. Inside the room, Aaron was transferred safely onto the bed. For a moment he stared silently at the ceiling. "Scott, Rick." "Yeah," Scott answered. Aaron swallowed hard. "Am I a bad father? Because sometimes I really feel like one." Rick stopped what he was doing. "Why would you think that?" Aaron's eyes filled with tears. "How is this my life? 1 minute I'm fighting because people want to take away my own rights. The next minute I'm trying to become a full-time parent." Neither man interrupted him. "I'm a disabled man who needs caregivers," Aaron continued. "Now I'm trying to hire other people to help raise this kid because I don't trust his own mother." His voice broke. "What kind of father needs this much help?" "A responsible one," Scott said immediately. Aaron turned his head. "A bad father wouldn't be interviewing nannies," Scott continued. "A bad father wouldn't be finding a pediatrician, setting up a college fund, or fighting to keep his child safe." Rick nodded. "You're not hearing people because you don't want to raise Noah. You're hearing people because you know where you need support." "But I need help taking care of myself." "So," Rick asked, "that doesn't stop you from loving your son, it doesn't stop you from making decisions for him." Aaron wiped his eyes. What happens when Noah gets older and realizes his father can't pick him up every time he cries? He'll also realize that his father always made sure someone trustworthy was there to pick him up, Scott answered. Rick placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. He'll know his dad fought for him when he couldn't fight for himself. Aaron took a shaky breath. I'm scared I'll mess him up. Every parent is scared of that, Scott said. You're asking questions, making plans, and accepting help. That gives Noah a better chance. From the other room, Noah began crying. Aaron lifted his head. That's him. Kathleen called from the hallway. I have him, sweetheart, finish getting ready. Aaron closed his eyes. I hate that I can't always be the first person to reach him. You might not always be the first person who physically reaches him, Rick said, but you're building his whole life around keeping him safe. Aaron nodded slowly. Not Linda, not the nanny, me, I'm his father. You, Rick confirmed. After Aaron was changed and dressed, the doorbell rang. Bob opened the front door. A woman stood there holding a folder. Hi, Bob said. The woman looked confused. I thought you used a power chair. Bob shook his head. No, that's my son, what's your name? The woman's face turned red. Sorry, I'm Jackie, I'm here for the nanny interview. Bob stepped aside. Aaron, Jackie is here. Aaron called from the bedroom. 2 more minutes, Dad. Jackie entered the living room. Kathleen was holding Noah nearby. You must be Jackie, Kathleen said. Yes, ma'am. Jackie smiled at Noah but did not immediately reach for him. Is this Noah? Kathleen nodded. Before she could say more, Aaron entered the room in his power wheelchair with Rick and Scott behind him. Noah is 6 months old, Aaron said, and before we start, I'm Aaron. Jackie turned toward him. It's nice to meet you, I'm sorry about the confusion. You thought my dad was me. Jackie gave an embarrassed laugh. Your message said you used a power chair, so I made a bad assumption. At least you admitted it. Aaron moved into the living room. This interview is going to be different. I'm not only looking for someone who knows how to care for a baby, I need someone who understands that I am Noah's father. Of course. You would work with me, you would not replace me. I make the decisions involving my son. I understand. Rick handed Aaron the list of questions. Have you ever worked for a parent with a disability? Aaron asked. No, Jackie answered, but I'm willing to learn how you want things done. That's better than pretending you know everything. Aaron glanced toward Noah. Mom, bring him closer. Kathleen positioned Noah where Aaron could see him. Hey, little man, Dad's doing interviews for you. Aaron turned back to Jackie. What would you do if someone came to the house claiming they had permission to take Noah? I wouldn't hand him over, Jackie replied. I would contact you, check the approved contact list, and call the police if the person refused to leave. Aaron looked toward Rick and Scott. That was the right answer. This morning, his mother showed up screaming that I kidnapped him, Aaron explained. Jackie's eyes widened. I'm sorry. That's why I need someone who follows instructions. Noah does not leave this house without my permission. I understand completely. Before Aaron could continue, Linda's voice came from outside again. Aaron, give me my kid. The room fell silent. Aaron closed his eyes for a second, then looked at Jackie. Jackie, can you put Noah in my room for a bit? His bassinet is in there, I need to take care of this, I'm sorry. Jackie stood immediately. You don't have to apologize. Kathleen handed Noah to her, and Rick accompanied Jackie down the hallway. Linda pounded on the front door. Give me my baby. Bob moved in front of the door. You aren't coming inside. Aaron turned toward Frank. Call the police again. Frank already had his phone out. I'm doing it. Scott moved beside Aaron. Don't go near the door. She keeps coming back because she thinks I'm too weak to stop her. This isn't about strength, Scott said. It's about keeping Noah safe. Noah began crying from the bedroom. Jackie's voice could be heard softly. It's okay, Noah, your dad is right outside. Aaron heard her and took a slow breath. Outside, Linda continued shouting. You're using those people to keep my son away from me. Aaron stayed several feet from the locked door. You left him outside in 19-degree weather. You came here screaming and now you returned after the police told you to leave. He belongs with his mother. He belongs somewhere safe. Linda struck the door again. Bob raised his voice. Step away from my house. Frank spoke to the dispatcher. She returned after being warned. She's pounding on the door and demanding the baby. Scott called Herson. She came back, Herson asked. Yes, Aaron answered, she's outside right now. Do not open the door, this strengthens the request for the restraining order, record everything. Scott held his phone toward the door. Sirens sounded again. Linda stopped pounding. You called the police on me again. You came back after being told to stay away, Aaron replied. The same officer from earlier stepped out of the patrol car. Linda, move away from the property. This is my child. You were already warned, turn around and place your hands behind your back. Aaron listened as Linda argued while the officer placed her in handcuffs. When the situation was under control, Jackie appeared in the hallway. Is it safe? Aaron nodded. Yes, you can bring him back. Jackie returned with Noah. With help, Aaron held him against his chest. I'm sorry, little man. Aaron looked at Jackie. You can leave if this is too much. Jackie shook her head. You asked what I would do if someone tried to take Noah. Now I understand why the question matters. You still want to finish the interview? Yes. Aaron studied her face. Can you handle working in a house where protecting this baby sometimes means staying calm while everything around us falls apart? Jackie looked directly at him. Yes, and I understand that protecting him means listening to you. Jackie hesitated before asking another question. Please don't take this the wrong way, but I'm not expected to take care of you too, right? Aaron shook his head. No, everybody else handles my personal care. You would only be responsible for Noah. Jackie looked relieved. I just wanted to be clear. You'll be one of two people helping with him, Aaron continued. Rick and Scott are very supportive. They help both me and Noah, but they need space to breathe. He paused. And so will you and the second nanny. You're already thinking about time off, Jackie asked. I have caregivers. I know what happens when someone never gets a break. People get exhausted, frustrated, and careless. I don't want that happening around my son. Rick leaned against the wall. That's why Aaron wants two nannies instead of expecting one person to be available constantly. Scott smiled. You hear that, Rick? We're finally allowed to breathe. Rick laughed. I forgot what that felt like. Aaron rolled his eyes. You two chose to help me. We did, Rick said, and we'll keep helping. Aaron looked back at Jackie. You might sometimes hand me something or help position Noah safely near me, but you wouldn't change me, transfer me, or handle my medication. Understood. The nanny helps with the physical things I can't always do safely, Aaron said, but I remain his father. Jackie nodded. Aaron looked at his questions again. For the next few months, I might not always be here. Between my ex-wife, lawyers, and court, I'll have meetings and hearings. Jackie listened closely. Would you and the second nanny be comfortable being in a group chat with me? The three of us need to stay on the same page for Noah's sake. Absolutely, that would make communication easier. I don't want one nanny receiving information while the other knows nothing, Aaron explained. His feeding times, naps, doctor appointments, and everything else should be written down. Rick suggested a shared calendar, and Scott suggested a daily log. Would you want pictures and updates throughout the day? Jackie asked. Yes, not every 5 minutes, but I want to know how he's doing, especially if I'm trapped in court dealing with Linda. What counts as an emergency? Breathing problems, injuries, a fever, or someone showing up demanding him, Aaron said. If waiting would put Noah in danger, call 911 first and then contact me. Jackie nodded. A group chat won't replace you being here, but it can keep you involved. That's what I need. I don't want decisions being made without me just because I'm not physically in the room. They won't be. You're his father. Scott looked toward Aaron. You don't want Noah's whole childhood happening inside a courtroom. Aaron nodded. Exactly. A second woman knocked on the door. Bob checked the camera before opening it. A woman stood outside carrying a folder and diaper bag. Hi, I'm Melissa. I'm here for the nanny interview. Bob led her inside. Melissa noticed Jackie. I didn't realize someone else would be here. You aren't interviewing together, Aaron explained. Jackie is almost finished and then it'll be your turn. Before they could transition between interviews, another car pulled into the driveway. A woman hurried toward the door and began knocking hard. Aaron, she shouted, my sister loves you. Is this how you treat her? Aaron recognized Linda's sister immediately. That's Grace. Grace continued pounding. You took her child, called the police, and had her arrested. Aaron lowered his head. Mom or Dad, finish this like before. I can't keep stopping everything for Linda's family. Kathleen nodded. We'll handle it. Aaron looked toward Jackie. I'm sorry. Stop apologizing for other people's behavior, Jackie told him. Bob opened the door but kept himself between Grace and the house. Grace, you need to leave. My sister loves Aaron. Love doesn't excuse leaving Noah outside in 19-degree weather, Bob replied. That was her lawyer's fault. Linda allowed it, then she came here twice, screamed at my son and demanded the baby after the police told her to leave. Kathleen remained inside the doorway. Aaron made his own decision. He is protecting Noah. Grace looked past them. Aaron, talk to me. Aaron remained in the living room. I have nothing to say to you, Grace. Herson told me not to communicate with Linda or anyone speaking for her. I'm not speaking for her. You came here defending her, that makes you part of this. She's scared, she thinks she's losing her child. She should have thought about that before she let someone leave him outside in the cold. Grace tried to move closer but Bob blocked her. You are not coming inside. Let me see my nephew. No, Aaron answered, not today. I'm his aunt. And right now, I don't know who I can trust. You arrived without calling during a nanny interview after your sister was arrested outside this house. Grace folded her arms. So you're cutting off Linda's entire family. I'm protecting Noah until the court decides what happens next. Bob pointed toward her car. You need to leave before we call the police. Grace stared toward Aaron. My sister really did love you. Aaron's voice became quiet. Maybe she did, but love isn't enough to make her safe for Noah. Grace finally returned to her car and drove away. Aaron looked toward the front of the house. Dad, Rick, stay on guard in case they come back. Bob nodded. I'll watch the cameras. Rick positioned himself where he could monitor the door. Nobody gets inside without Aaron's permission. Jackie completed her interview, gave Scott her contact information and left. Melissa sat across from Aaron. Before we start, I need to be honest, Aaron said. This isn't a simple nanny job. What makes it different? There's an active custody case. Noah's mother has shown up here twice demanding that we give him to her. And you have legal custody. I have temporary custody while Herson files for full custody and a restraining order. Melissa nodded. That won't be a problem. If someone came to the door claiming she was Noah's mother and demanding the baby, what would you do? I would keep the door locked, move Noah somewhere safe, contact you and call the police if she refused to leave. Aaron looked toward Rick. That's the same answer Jackie gave. It's the right answer, Rick said. Aaron explained the group chat idea and the need for both nannies to coordinate. Melissa agreed. I prefer shared communication, it prevents mistakes. Noah made a small sound. Kathleen brought him closer. Melissa smiled but did not reach for him. He's beautiful. Thank you. Melissa looked at Aaron. Would I only care for Noah, or would I help with your personal care too? You would only be responsible for Noah. Rick, Scott, and my other caregivers handle my care. That's clear. Melissa looked toward the baby. What does Noah like? Aaron smiled. He loves Big Bird from Sesame Street. Then the code word should be Big Bird. It's easy for everyone to remember. Aaron looked toward Scott. Text the other applicants and tell them not to come. I think we might have our 2 nannies. Scott shook his head. Background checks, remember. Aaron leaned back. Right, damn it. You can postpone the other interviews, Scott said, but you shouldn't officially hire Jackie or Melissa until the checks are completed. Melissa nodded. That's fair, you're trusting someone with your child, you should verify everything. Scott sent messages saying the positions might be filled pending background checks. Melissa suggested that the safety plan include written emergency numbers, photographs of anyone forbidden from approaching Noah, and a code word to verify messages. Aaron nodded. Good, nobody picks Noah up, enters this house, or changes his schedule unless they know the code word. Big Bird, Bob said from beside the security monitor. Big Bird, Aaron confirmed. Noah looked toward Aaron and reached out. Dada eat. The entire room went quiet. Aaron stared at him. What did he say? Noah pointed toward the bottle. Dada eat. Aaron's eyes widened. He called me Dada again. Scott smiled. I think he's also telling you he's hungry. Rick picked up the bottle and handed it to Aaron. You do it. With help, Aaron positioned Noah safely and held the bottle to his mouth. Noah began drinking. Aaron looked down at him with tears forming in his eyes. You really know I'm your dad? Noah stopped drinking for a moment. Dada. Melissa smiled from across the room. I think he answered you. Aaron kissed the top of Noah's head. I might need help with some things, but I'll always be your Dada. Aaron's phone began ringing. He looked at the screen. It's Herson. Scott held the bottle while Aaron answered. Hello. Aaron, the judge wants to speak with you face-to-face tomorrow. Aaron froze. Tomorrow? Yes, the judge reviewed the emergency motion for full custody and the restraining order. The judge wants to hear directly from you. Aaron looked toward Noah. Do I have to bring him? No, the judge specifically said Noah shouldn't be brought into the courtroom unless ordered. Good, I don't want his childhood happening in court. Herson told him to bring the police reports, recordings, and evidence showing that Noah had been left outside. I'll need copies tonight. Frank has the recordings, Rick has the security footage. The courthouse is accessible, Herson added. I confirmed the entrance, elevator, and courtroom space for your power chair. Can Rick and Scott come? They can come to the courthouse. The judge might only allow you and me into the meeting, but they can remain nearby. I don't like being alone with judges. You won't be alone, I'll be beside you. What time? 10 in the morning. Aaron glanced toward Scott. Please tell me nothing else is booked. Scott checked the calendar. Nothing until the afternoon. Thank God. Herson prepared Aaron for the questions he might be asked. The judge will probably ask why you believe full custody is necessary. Because Linda allowed her lawyer to leave Noah outside in freezing weather. Then she came to my house twice demanding him after the police told her to stay away. That's what you need to say. Stay calm, tell the truth, and focus on Noah. What if the judge asks about my disability? Explain your support system. You have caregivers, your parents, 2 potential nannies, and a pediatrician. Needing assistance does not automatically make you unfit. Aaron looked around the room. I have a whole team. Exactly. After the call ended, Kathleen looked toward Noah. I know the background checks won't be finished that fast. Your dad and I will watch the baby while you're at court. Aaron's shoulders relaxed. Thank you, Mom, and thank you, Dad. Bob nodded. You focus on the judge, we'll take care of Noah. Aaron looked toward his son. I hate leaving him after everything that happened today. You aren't leaving him with strangers, Kathleen said. You're leaving him with his grandparents. We'll keep the doors locked, Bob added. Nobody comes inside without the code word. Big Bird. Big Bird. The following morning, Aaron entered the courthouse with Herson while Rick and Scott stayed close by. Inside the courtroom, the judge looked down at the documents. Mr. Aaron, you are asking this court for full custody, but a few weeks ago you wanted to give away your parental rights. Why should I believe you are ready to raise this child now? Aaron gripped the armrest of his wheelchair. Linda used financial and emotional abuse against me, he answered. She was using Noah as a pawn, exactly like I said she was going to do. The judge remained quiet. And I will keep saying this, Aaron continued. She allowed her former lawyer to leave my 6-month-old son outside on my porch in 19-degree weather. His voice began shaking, but he continued. Even if I was able-bodied, I would fight for my kid after that. My disability has nothing to do with why I'm here. The judge folded his hands. You previously expressed fear that you couldn't care for Noah. I was scared, I'm still scared. Aaron's eyes filled with tears. That's why I interviewed nannies, that's why I found a pediatrician, that's why my caregivers and my parents are helping me build a safe home. He took a breath. I need help raising Noah, but needing help doesn't mean I would ever leave a 6-month-old baby outside in 19-degree weather. You said Linda is not Noah's mother. She gave birth to him, Aaron replied, but no mother who cares about her child would allow that to happen. Herson quietly reminded Aaron to remain calm. I don't trust her alone with my son, Aaron continued. Maybe the court can order supervised visits someday, but I don't trust her with custody. Aaron hesitated. Your Honor, may I ask something? Yes. The child support money is already in a trust that neither Linda nor I can touch. Can it be turned into a college fund for Noah so it can grow? The judge nodded. That can be arranged if the financial records confirm your attorney's submission. Thank you. Do you want Linda to contribute to the fund? Aaron shook his head. I don't want anything from that woman. This isn't only about what you want, the judge explained. It's about what Noah may legally be entitled to receive from both parents. I understand, I just don't want her money used as another way to control me or him. Any required payments can go directly into a protected account. As long as the money belongs to Noah and she can't use it against us. The judge reviewed the evidence. This court is not deciding whether you are a perfect father. There is no such thing. I am deciding whether Noah will be safe and properly cared for in your custody. He will be. You have caregivers for your physical needs. Yes. Your parents agreed to help. Yes. You're completing background checks on 2 potential nannies. Yes, Your Honor. And you understand that the nannies will assist you, but you remain responsible for major decisions involving Noah. Aaron's voice became firm. I am his father, I make the decisions. The judge reviewed the documents one final time. Based on the evidence presented, including the police reports, recordings, and the incident involving the child being left outside, this court is granting you temporary full physical custody. Aaron stopped breathing for a second. Linda's contact with Noah will be suspended until a supervised visitation plan can be reviewed. The temporary restraining order will remain in effect. Aaron closed his eyes as tears rolled down his face. Herson leaned closer. You did it. Aaron shook his head. We still have work to do. That is correct, the judge said. This is a temporary order pending a full hearing. Until then, Noah will remain in your care. Thank you, Your Honors. Go home to your son, Mr. Aaron. Aaron rolled into the courthouse hallway with Rick and Scott beside him. The moment the doors closed, his hands began to shake. Call my parents. Scott dialed the number. Bob answered immediately. Aaron, what happened? Aaron tried to speak, but all that came out was a sob. Aaron, Kathleen asked in the background, is he okay? Rick placed a hand on Aaron's shoulder. Tell them. Aaron wiped his face, but the tears continued falling. He's good, Aaron finally said. Noah is good to stay with us. There was silence on the other end. Then Kathleen began crying. Oh, thank God. Bob released a long breath. You got custody. Temporary full custody. Linda can't take him. She can't see him unless the court approves supervised visits. He's safe, Kathleen cried. You kept him safe. Aaron lowered his head. I was so scared they were going to look at my chair and decide I couldn't be his father. Scott crouched beside him. But they didn't. Rick nodded. They looked at what you did for Noah. Bob's voice came firmly through the phone. We never doubted you, son. Aaron covered his face. I almost gave away my rights a few weeks ago. You were being abused and manipulated, Kathleen said. Then you learned what happened to your child and you stood up for him. Aaron took a shaky breath. Can you put me on speaker near Noah? You already are, Bob said. Kathleen carried the phone closer to the baby. Noah, your Dada is calling. Noah made a happy sound. Dada. Aaron broke down again. Yeah, little man, Dada's coming home. Dada. You're staying with me, nobody is taking you away. Aaron looked toward Rick and Scott as they walked toward the courthouse exit. Linda will never control me again, he said, and Noah won't have to deal with her the way I did. Rick looked at him. You mean the emotional abuse? Aaron nodded. She made me question everything about myself, my disability, my money, and whether I deserve to make my own decisions. Scott rested a hand on Aaron's shoulder. And now, Aaron looked down at the custody order resting on his lap. Now I know I'm allowed to protect myself, I'm allowed to say no. And you're allowed to protect Noah, Rick said. She won't use him to punish me, she won't make him feel guilty for loving me, she won't teach him that controlling someone is the same as loving them. Scott smiled slightly. You broke the cycle. Aaron took a shaky breath. I almost didn't. But you did, Rick replied, that's what matters. Aaron looked back toward the courthouse. She wanted me to believe I couldn't survive without her. Scott opened the accessible exit. And now you're leaving with custody of your son. Aaron drove his power wheelchair outside. Noah is going to grow up knowing that love doesn't hurt, threaten, or control you, Aaron said. He's going to know he can come to me about anything. Rick walked beside him toward the van. You ready to go home? Aaron smiled through his tears. Yeah, I'm ready to go home to my son.